You know what I love?
So,
Jumping around on a trampoline.
jumping's great, man.
Jump, hop, and skip. But I like to jump, hop, and skip digitally too. What was the first time, your first experience with a platform?
I do not remember what my very first experience would have been, but I know the most formative one was Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
When I got that game, my brother and sister and I, we booted that thing up and we ran out and we ran into the castle and you start jumping in the pictures and you start going through the different stages, and I played that game for a year. That was back in the days where you got like one game
one
a
game
year.
to your birthday.
And that was my game for like an entire year. I played the heck out of that game. And learning all the different ways you can jump. I know the first time I learned that you could jump off of walls, my mind was like blown. And just kind of trying to figure out how to push it to the limits. How can I get up to this place? You'd come to these obstacles you thought were impossible. I can't get that star, I can't do this. And then when you figured it out, you just felt like it was all worth the trouble.
Mario was the one that kind of like shaped me. My aunt and uncle had Mario Brothers for the NES, and my parents didn't. My parents played games, but they didn't have those early Mario games, all of them. So I would go play Mario Brothers 2 and like 3 over there and 1, and I could not put those games down. Big one for me was Donkey Kong Country. Again, I would go to my aunt and uncles, and they had like the newer ones. They were really into those Mario Brothers and stuff. So anything like that, like that was basically the only thing I could play as a kid. Platformers are so kid friendly.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Platformers are so interesting because they are probably the most prevalent genre. They've died off a little bit in recent years, but for years, every licensed game was a platformer practically. Every single one, and you jump around. And what do you think makes those games so appealing? What made them for so many years as default game people think of back in those days is somewhere where you're jumping around? Yeah,
I think it started definitely. Like, I think Mario just really nailed the simplicity and the fun. Like, it was difficult, but like a kid could pick it up and
moving
go this
across
way.
And press A.
And it's so easy. And I still think that's like some of the best games for a kid to play. Like, even look like Knack. When they had to get a kid-friendly thing on PlayStation, they chose a platformer. You know what I mean? Like, platformers are just really fun. Like jumping from point A to point B. They're not as intense as the others. You know, real-time strategy as a kid. Like, even when I played my first Final Fantasy, it was just like, when do I jump? You know, oh, when do I jump around? When do I have fun? As a kid,
I remember being a kid and saying, "There's no jump button in this game. I don't want to play it."
Then you don't want to play it. Jumping for some reason is like the most fun thing to do. That's why I think platformers, even indie games now, still. That's kind of resurgence of platformers, 2D and 3D.
Yeah, Super Meat Boy is a fantastic platformer.
Exactly.
Same thing.
Joining us via satellite to help us make sense of all the violent madness, attorney and conservative activist Jack Thompson is here. Mr. Thompson, I'd like to start with you, sir, because you personally led protests against the game Bully, and I'm wondering, do you have something against the game in particular, or do you just not want it to be released altogether?
A week before Columbine, I predicted Columbine on the Today Show, and every bullying expert who's aware of this game has predicted that this game will lead to real-world violence in schools.
Whoa! And you know what? It's actually really disturbing and intellectually dishonest and somewhat pernicious to try to say that with all the other ills in the world, where you have kids that are getting absolutely poor education in public schools.
The curriculum demands that you do these vocabulary assignments. Try again, James.
In the UK, they have laws that prevent the sale of adult and adult-themed, mature-rated games to kids. They have a First Amendment or its equivalent there.
No, they
and
do
the
not.
point is, of course they do.
They do not have any type of
It's called
constitution or something sanctioned
no,
as
that's
First Amendment.
We've got to keep the debate on this shore, unfortunately. We can't debate whether or not.
I think there's a metaphor here, and I don't like it.
Come on, yes! All right, yeah, here we go. Boom, headshot, conflict! Woo! Yeah, you don't mess with conflict, no. Nuh-uh. Oh, yeah, you know why they call me conflict? Because I don't get along with nobody. Woo! Woo! Yeah!
I gotta take a break. Guys, have you heard of this game, Champ? Yeah. Yeah, I think we need to get in on this. This might be big.
The harassment became part of what's now known as Gamergate.
The threat of violence, all too real.
So have you paid any attention to Gamergate? You know what Gamergate is?
No, what's that about?
Today, I will unleash knowledge and logic on one of the most important topics of the modern age, and that is Gamergate. Here are 4 lies that people say regarding Gamergate. Lie number 1. Women are harassed when they play games online. Please observe the following clip from a pro-social justice warrior news network.
Watch what happens when the men in this online session of Counter-Strike learn that there's a woman playing in their midst.
Are you an archaeologist? Because I have a big bone that needs examining, Mrs. Pretty Lady.
The men playing this game simply needed answers to an archaeological problem.
If I subscribe, will you give me a big kiss?
It's less brutal than what Anita and Brianna experienced, but it does show the ease with which offensive behavior is tossed out at women.
I'd give you my skin for some skin, if you know what I mean, huh, sexy lady, huh?
Women are offended by men just simply trying to be nice. Well, would they rather us say nothing at all? Lie number 2. Depression Quest is a good game. Depression Quest was made by Zoe Quinn, the feminazi that opposes the gamer army. I did not have fun when I played this game. All I got was sad. Only sadness. Lie number 3. The death threats against Zoe and Anita Sarkeesian were not even real. If we simply look at the screenshots from July of 2014, we would see Zoe was supposed to be at the house at 3 straight from the beginning. Why does she say she is the background of Anita Sarkeesian? Why did she say that she graduated later? In Zoe's original story, she said that it happened on the evidence. And the final lie regarding Gamergate is that a gamer war is not upon us. Gamers, grasp your controllers and head to the streets. We will never let the SJWs win this war. Go forth and fight with all of your heart. Gamers, rise up.
Going side to side is fun for a while, but, you know, stuff changes. Things innovate. We start going side to side and front to back.
3-dimensional space, right?
3D platformers.
That was a crazy era, man. You know, we talked earlier about Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
That one really came in and did it.
And really figured out a lot of stuff.
The way that they did the camera was smart.
It was funny. It was such a big deal. They had a character
dedicated,
break the fourth wall and say, "I'm controlling the camera."
Yeah.
It's Lakitu, or how you pronounce his name, whatever.
Yeah, the cloud guy.
The cloud guy is basically controlling the camera with like.
But that shows how big of a deal was that they had to do that. They had to say, "This is the guy doing the camera."
That's how we're doing
try to make it make sense.
That's how nutso it was, and I didn't find this out till kind of not too long ago, but they had Croc, the game Croc. If you might have saw that. I loved it as a kid, but it was not of that same tier. It was kind of more mediocre.
Like Glover. I played Glover. And...
But the thing was, Croc was actually first. When it came to those 3D like mascot platformers, Croc was kind of first, and Super Mario 64 kind of looked at what Croc did and kind of fixed stuff. And I never knew that they kind of, like, Croc was the thing that, like,
I didn't know that.
Helped push everything forward. Super Mario 64 I loved, but my first and the one I really, still to this day, hold close to my heart is Crash Bandicoot. That was the first PS1 game. That was the first 3D game I ever saw, and it really left an impression on me, specifically the second one. But that one really was incredible too, like tech-wise, like what they had to do for like all the running, and like the way they loaded levels was basically going to break the disc reader on the PS1 if it went too many times.
And one of the things I like is they kept the stages that you would see in old 2D platformers, but they would change the perspective up based on the stage. So some stages were sideways, but they were still graphically rendered three-dimensional, and you could go kind of this way a little bit, in little hidden areas and stuff. But then other times the camera would be behind you, or sometimes you'd be coming at the camera. And I thought that the level design was really strong, and that they really stuck with these stage designs, and really framed the camera a certain way, in a way that's really lost nowadays. You don't see very much of that nowadays.
That era was so cool because they were working with so many limitations, but they had these crazy ideals. So like even Super Mario 64 with the camera thing is like, we need to figure this out, and Crash is like, we'll just go towards you. And this way, and now we can go both ways. We'll really take advantage of that. For the full thing. Another one got to mention is Spyro, and both of those, Crash and Spyro, are now getting 3D remakes for they're getting remakes and stuff, and I hope a new generation finds those and go, these are fun. Because I played them again, going like, kind of wincing, like, please don't let this kind of ruin my memories of these games, but they're fun. They're fun, still hold up.
I think that they will, and that Crash remake made a ton of money. It sold 1 million copies, and they're the perfect games for kids. They're the perfect games. They're just fun, light, play it for 10, 20 hours, and just try to get all the collectibles.
It's
and
addictive
knock
to get
out
the
all
collectibles.
the boxes. And
that was another thing from that era, was all of these major collectibles, and those were kind of the rare games.
Well, that was the big Banjo-Kazooie thing.
Banjo-Kazooie, everything had a collectible. You collected stars, Super Mario 64. You had like this really incentive to collect everything. Donkey Kong 64 was kind of like where everybody went, okay, we'll chill out. Because everything, like, absolutely, there was like 10 different collectibles in the game you could get. Was there anything that, like, 3D platformers you played that maybe not a lot of people play? Like, Croc for me is one that's kind of like mediocre. It's not as well known as Super Mario 64.
I don't know that I played one that not a lot of people played. Glover was one that I played. Did you ever play Glover?
I don't think I ever did.
You could, like, you were literally a hand running around, and then you could, like, roll up in a ball and roll around, and I enjoyed that game for what it was at the time. I thought it was sweet. I played a game called Gex.
Gex.
That was another one. Gex was really fun. I can't remember a whole lot about it, but I remember it.
Gex was all of these pop culture references and like all of these Austin Power references and stuff.
And then the only other one that I played that was fun was Conquer. Conquer's Bad Fur Day.
I never played that. But
that had a great sense of humor, and it was funny because you pick it up and you start playing it, and you thought, oh, this is gonna be like another Banjo.
Yeah, it's another kid's game.
And then there's cursing, and he's drunk, and he's like, and it's so that was a really fun, interesting. It was just a very interesting time.
It's a fun time. It was like no rules over that whole generation in general, but for platformers too. Of like, how did we take this from 2D to 3D? And I love that Zelda. That's not a platformer to say, but like. Even Mario, like all those games had to transition to 3D, and they really kind of had to like, how do we figure that out? And I'm, happy to say they all did a good transition.
They all figured it out in their own way. There were some clunkers along the way, but they all found a way to do it.
For sure.
Hello there. My name is Dan Hauser, one of the co-founders of Rockstar Games, creators of franchises such as Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption. I'm here today to talk to you about how we, Rockstar Games, how we're changing as a company to better suit our customers. We hear the complaints about how Grand Theft Auto is misogynistic, that it doesn't represent you, and we take those claims very seriously. We have to do better. We must do better. Our games are some of the most innovative and cutting edge on the market, and we want as many players to take part in that as possible. So today, I'm proud to announce a partnership with Anita Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn. They've come on to give us input on this next entry in the Grand Theft Auto series. So please, sit back and enjoy the next entry in the Grand Theft Auto series. Grand Theft Auto 6.
The world of Grand Theft Auto 6 is bursting at the seams with opportunities. Women, say goodbye to the strip club and say hello to owning your own business. If you're on the streets looking for a prostitute, you won't find any. There's only friends to be found here. Grand Theft Auto is notorious for being full of violence. Instead, in Grand Theft Auto 6, your pockets will be full of apples, and you're going to be digging holes. A lot of holes. You don't need guns to solve issues in GTA 6. Just talk it out. In past Grand Theft Auto games, we forced the player to rob in order to pay back a debt. In Grand Theft Auto 6, we now have streamlined that process. Welcome to loan payments. We can't wait to get Grand Theft Auto 6 into players' hands. Coming out this fall to PlayStation 4, Xbox One X, Nintendo Switch, and the PC. But we want to be inclusive to everyone. That's why it's also coming to Nintendo 3DS, PlayStation Portable, PlayStation 1, Nintendo GameCube, PlayStation 2, the Wii, Dreamcast, Game Boy Wii Color, U, Xbox 360, Sega PlayStation.
Come on, I had him. What's going on? What? Come on, you are not better than me.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
All right. That's why they call me Thompson. What is going on?
You don't want none of this.
You don't want none of this.
You don't want none of this.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Yes. Boom. Bang. No. We got this in the bag, boys. All right, we're about to win now. We're about to win now. Conflict. Yep. Yes. What? You've got to be kidding. You mother effing. I hear ya. I'm coming. Jeez. Whew, man, that game was a blast. Hey, what's up? Is there something wrong?
I think you know what's wrong, Brent.
Well, I think that there's something very tactile. Pressing the jump button, your character moves up, and then it's very easy then to introduce other elements to try to knock you off rhythm, knock you off of the path that you're on. So in a way, I think they rose up because they were very easy to design for in a 2D space.
Yeah.
It was very extremely easy. I mean, it was difficult, but it was, in comparison to making like shooting games or making things that we see today, it was very simple, limited control set. So I think what happened was you got all these games and these franchises that emerged, so they would tack on licensed people, or they'd make people like Mario or Donkey Kong and all these different people. Then 3D era came along and they transitioned all those people to 3D, thinking this is what, this is how we're going to keep making money. But I think that it came a point of diminishing returns even once they hit 3D, because dedicated 3D platformers are hard to sustain.
Yeah.
You know, year after year after year after year.
I want to say that Nintendo is one of the only, I think.
Yeah.
Because like Super Mario 3D World on Wii U was incredible.
Yeah.
Like that was really fun platforming.
yeah.
Sport Lives co-op.
That series just keeps going.
Yeah, and Super Mario Odyssey is still fun, but like, as far as like all these mascot platformers, it was kind of like Mario kind of left them in the dust.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I think the world kind of moved on in ways,
Yeah,
too.
they kind of moved on. Like even the people who made Crash.
Yeah.
Naughty Dog kind of went ahead and said, hey, we're going to make Uncharted. We're going to make this more adult thing. Insomniac, who made Spyro, who made Ratchet & Clank, said we're going to make Resistance. And those were kind of the big players, and they kind of stepped away.
Yeah.
It is now a nostalgic thing. That's why Crash come back. Spyro's getting the remaster.
You're seeing indie games that are in
Yes, and you're seeing games like Yooka-Laylee that are out and that are new.
Hat in Time.
A Hat in Time is another good example of doing that. And it's funny because Yooka-Laylee, that was kind of a very mediocre, kind of controversial game for a lot of people. For me, it was fun because it was like somebody said, hey, there was a PS2 or PS1 era platform. Let's remaster and then release it because nobody did. We forgot about it. And it is that to the core. It doesn't innovate. It doesn't do anything new. I think A Hat in Time might do more on that front, but it's cool to have those kind of original kind of, oh, this feels like Banjo-Kazooie. Yeah. This feels like
it's like a new property,
simple.
But it's the one you remember in a weird way.
So I love those games. I still I want future generations to play those games. I want other, people to be introduced to those games. They're really fun. Yeah. And I think Nintendo's the only one still kind of pushing the envelope on that and innovating. Super Mario Odyssey kind of changes some stuff.
And even when they were doing the Galaxy games, they were innovating.
Oh yeah, to the point where the only problem with the Galaxy games is where do you go from here?
Yeah.
That's how much they push the envelope on that. So
I think what's interesting and what we really see now is platforming, and that action of jumping has just been grafted onto other types of games, because you mentioned earlier Naughty Dog. Uncharted is a shooter. It's story based, it's character based, it's action, but a good portion of those games is platforming. Yeah, it's jumping around, it's climbing, and you see it in even other games, like, whether it's The Last Guardian has jumping around, climbing, and it's a, classic kind of Ico, Shadow of the Colossus type game. Yeah. It's got a lot of jumping in it. It's something you kind of do within these other games that have other things to offer.
It makes sense, and I think this stuff kind of maybe molds and people kind of take and absorb the best of different genres. Yeah. Because look at Ratchet & Clank, that started at RPG elements. Now everything has an RPG. The new Spider-Man I played, you're leveling up his freaking skills. You know what I mean? Like, whereas the other old Spider-Man games, you never did that. I hope more kind of those old properties come back and just play around with them, and it's fun every now and then.
Yeah, we've got the old ones, so make some new ones. Make some new ones, make them different,
Definitely.
make some new things happen.
Well, let's swing, dude.
Let's swing.
We're not Jack Thompson. We love video games.
Games have a huge impact on our society, so it's not just fantasy. It actually works to potentially reinforce some pretty harmful messages about women.
In Oakland, California, Matt, Daryl Stallworth, the prosecutor, has asked me to help him prove to a jury in a murder trial that older men were using Grand Theft Auto 3 as a murder and carjacking simulator to train teens on how to do carjackings, and one of the kids said, we played the game by day and we lived the game by night.
But now your mom wants to play video games, and everything's no longer about you.
We have to do something about maybe what they're seeing and how they're seeing it, and also video games. I'm hearing more and more people say the level of violence on video games is really shaping young people's thoughts.
You can't judge gaming by what's selling. You have to really get into the medium to understand it before you start saying, well, this is what gaming is about.
Ghosts of censors past. Whoa, we're not Jack Thompson. We love video games. We want them to be better. We don't want them to stay the same. No, we are not Jack Thompson. We don't want anything banned. Quite the opposite. We want the world of games to expand.
It's not a fair fight, but
It makes it more interesting.
You sort of revel in it, don't you?
You know, there's the most popular, most favored story in the Bible is David and Goliath.
But you know how that story ended. He knocked him down with a slingshot and beheaded Goliath. If there was a David and Goliath video game, would you be fine with that?
I wouldn't want my son hour after hour practicing the violence.
Hello? Hello? Tom? What's going on, guys?
Hey, man. We gotta talk to you.
Look, if it's about what I said the other day, who cares? It's just a word. Only a couple people saw it. So, how are your stats on Champ?
Just a word? Are you for real?
I'm sorry. Did I trigger you?
Tom, if he does not go, I'm going.
Wait. Where's Chris?
He didn't even want to be in the same room as you tonight. And you know what? Neither do I.
Hey, why is everybody making a big deal out of this?
Brent, this is a big deal. We can't have the team associated with that.
Associated with what? With me? You're not kicking me out of this, are you? I'm the best player on the team. You can't do this. What, are you gonna pick these social justice warriors over me?
We're not siding with anyone. We're just...
Just what, Tom? Are you worried about your image? You don't even have an image without me.
Brent, you need to calm down.
You can't do this to me. I'm better than you. I'm gonna win this tournament for this team.
It's time for you to leave.
No!